This weekend, the action starts on the Gold Coast and in other places around Australia. Schoolies celebrations commence. Now, we know that most people who are listening to the Happy Families podcast are not sending their Year 12 students off to Schoolies. But today's episode is about planting seeds for how you can have great conversations with your kids to help them to make safe, healthy choices when it comes to what's coming up for Schoolies, and really to paint the picture that Schoolies is not the be-all and end-all necessary rite of passage for every student finishing Year 12. In fact, we're kind of, how would you say it, honey? Are we anti-Schoolies? We're not big fans of Schoolies, and we've discouraged our kids from going.
I think it's really important to have some kind of celebration, but I wouldn't call it Schoolies.
Right. So we're going to talk in today's podcast about how you can set your kids up for success with either Schoolies by attending or finding alternatives that are going to work really, really well to keep your kids safe and healthy at a really, really pivotal time of their lives. Useful for parents of kids at any age. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day on Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson, parents of 6 kids. We've got our 4th daughter finishing Year 12. Well, I think she's finished. I think the last exam's done. She's out. She's done. It's all over. We've got the formal in 2 days. First day of Schoolies, so the kids are going to be missing that. And, honey, it's all happening. We've only got 2 to go. I only got 2 more kids to get through high school. You look tired.
I'm trying to come up with a clever response, but I think I just need a pat on the back and
a good lay down.
Yep, a good lay down.
Maybe some Valium. All right. So today we're going to talk about Schoolies. Do your kids need to go? What if they're begging to go and you don't want them to go? I mean, okay, there's a bunch of different groups. If you're cool for your kids to go to Schoolies and they want to go to Schoolies, this is not the podcast for you. But if you've got younger kids and you're watching what happens at Schoolies and you're just thinking, I don't think this is in my children's best interest to be there, this is your podcast. And whether your kids are in prep or kindy or first grade, or whether they're in high school or getting towards the pointy end, Schoolies conversations are going to come up. And that's what we're going to discuss today.
I think one of the most important things that we talk about often is just intention and purpose. And no matter where your kids are in their stage of schooling, being prepared for this big event is really important. And the more intention we have around it, the more we can be prepared and actually be excited about this rite of passage for our kids as opposed to dreading it.
Yeah. So we've got 4 kids who are now finished high school. None of them have gone to Schoolies. I didn't go to Schoolies. You didn't go to Schoolies. We're not a Schoolies family. And I think it's because it just doesn't sit with who we are. It doesn't sit with our morality, with our values. We don't love the idea of 18 and 17-year-old kids running around the Gold Coast at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, completely off their face and looking for opportunities to make decisions that they will probably regret the next day and that could actually have catastrophic consequences throughout the rest of their lives. Am I getting caught up in the media news beat up? Maybe, but I've heard enough horror stories to know that while a lot of people go to Schoolies and have a great time, there are plenty of kids who go to Schoolies and don't. So we've literally just sat down with our kids and said, we don't want you to go to Schoolies, but we'd love to work with you on alternatives that could be interesting. And today, we present to you 4 or 5 alternatives that could be interesting that may sway your kids away from Schoolies.
We have a tradition in our house. When the kids turn 16, they get 2 weeks of unfiltered time with us, you and me. No one else comes along. It's just them and us. And it is probably one of the most talked about holidays in our family. The girls
look forward to it
in anticipation
so much,
are talking about it. I know that we're not talking about Sweet 16, but if this is something you haven't done before, this could actually be a really special thing that you could create a tradition of excitement and anticipation around a trip that you get to do with your child.
Yeah. It's a really big one. Now, I want to highlight a couple of the ideas that we're going to share do require some finances, and that may not work for you because your family's just not in that situation. So
But if they're in kinder, you've got lots of time to
that's
save.
right. Like you can save a lot of money in the next 10 or 15 years or thereabouts.
And you can actually get your children involved in the savings.
Completely. Yeah. In fact, we've done that with some of our kids when they want to go on a different kind of a trip. So we've brought them in. Kylie, I want to extend from your Sweet 16 idea. A couple of years ago, one of our friends, his son was finishing Year 12 and really wanted to go to Schoolies with his buds. And Dad just said, I really don't want you to be there. I'm concerned about what could happen, and I want you to be safe and healthy, but I've got an idea. And so with a couple of the other dads of this boy's best mates, the three dads planned a trip for the three boys, and the six of them went away. Now, you can do this in Australia. You can do it overseas. You can do it with a surfing trip. You can do it with a fishing trip. You could do it with a camping trip. You could. These guys, they all ran their own businesses and were in a situation where they had the funds. They went to the US and they watched basketball and baseball and football games, and they just toured around a couple of US cities and went to a whole lot of sports things and did. I mean, this was a trip of a lifetime kind of stuff, which was. I mean, the boys just said this was way better than going to Schoolies.
When I heard our friends talking about this, I was just ecstatic. The idea that dads would rally together
Brilliant.
and
Brilliant.
put something together that would be not only meaningful for their sons, but to be able to experience it together. I was just in awe of them. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, let me go on a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a tangent here. Boys need good masculine role models in their lives, and for dads to take the time out of their busy work lives to sacrifice time and money to take their kids away. It doesn't have to be NBA games in the US. I mean, that is kind of extra. But depending on your situation, you could do any number of things.
This is also like building their village, right? It's helping them to see other
good men
in their lives who are role models, who are going to be there and support them. And I just loved it.
So I've let my imagination get away from me a little bit. And as I made some notes here that I didn't tell you about, I wrote down Japan, USA, Barcelona, Berlin, Bali. It doesn't matter. Like, just they're all really aspirational, and then maybe they're too big. But for many families with planning, and that's why we're having this conversation now, because it's Schoolies time. But most people who have got year 12 kids aren't listening to the podcast. People with younger kids are listening. With planning, you can start to set the agenda. You can organise the friendship group. You can organise the mums or the dads. You could do a mums and girls trip, and you could go and do a retreat in Ubud in Bali, or you could head across to Queenstown and do, like, there are so many things. And with planning, years of planning, you can save the money. You can make the bookings. You can get everyone excited, and it creates this tradition. Yeah, our family does this thing when we graduate high school because Schoolies isn't for us. I'm going to quickly extend that as well with a follow-up, and that is just family trips. So rather than just being mum and a child who's just graduated, or dad and a child who's just graduated, I also reckon there's real value in getting families together. And just recently, I've done a lot of traveling around Australia for my speaking. Just recently, I was in part of the country that the Murray River flows through, and they were telling me about how popular it is for people to hire houseboats and go down the Murray River. I was on the New South Wales Central Coast recently, and people were talking about how people hire houseboats and go up and down the Hawkesbury River. A few years ago, as a family, we went to the Whitsundays and we hired a boat and we just cruised around the Whitsundays. Doing something like that with one or two or three families is another really amazing way that we can maximize, that we can boost our children's anticipation for what Schoolies can be, while still avoiding the chaos and realistically some of the carnage that occurs when you get a bunch of thousands of 17 and 18-year-olds and all the toolies as well together. After the break, Kylie, I know you've got a couple of others that you want to share, and one or two last ideas to help you to make plans to help your kids look forward to a Schoolies experience that's a little bit different, a little bit more wholesome, and hopefully a little bit more healthy. This is the Happy Families podcast. If you're enjoying the pod, please like and review the podcast. We love those 5-star reviews. They help other people to find the pod and make their families happier. Today, talking about the different ways that we can celebrate Schoolies with our kids, with them, or set things up so that they can be successful but not be in risky situations so much. I think it's been a productive conversation. Kylie, you've got another one that you wanted to run through.
So I didn't do Schoolies. You've already acknowledged that. But I grew up in New Zealand, and when I was 10, we moved to Australia. I had never actually gone back to New Zealand. So as a 17-year-old, freshly out of high school, my mum and dad chose to send me to New Zealand with my best friend. And I went and stayed with all of my relatives that I hadn't seen for, it felt like a lifetime, and got to reconnect with my cousins and see a country that I loved, but I loved it from a 10-year-old's point of view. I got to experience it as, a fresh adult. And that was an experience that I remember for all the good reasons. And I think that lots of us have opportunities where we've got either really good family friends on the other side or extended family that our kids could actually go and have an experience on their own or with a friend, and experience life in a different way.
Yeah, teens just love being able to get out of the house and have some independence. So most of our ideas so far have been about the kids being with us, and that can be a really great bonding experience. But sometimes they just want to hit the open road.
You're so funny. Our third daughter, she just wanted to go on a road trip. She took a handful of friends. They slept in their car.
So uncomfortable. But they were pumped. They're like, we're sleeping in the back of the car. It's going to be awesome. Like, that is not awesome.
And their idea of a road trip was literally taking a left turn if they saw something that took their fancy. Like they kind of had a loose idea of where they were going to end up, like from point A to point B, but anything in between could happen. And they just had a blast.
Same daughter wanted to go on a road trip with me recently. And that's when I realized my idea of a road trip is you get on the road and you trip to where you're going. Her idea of a road trip is it doesn't really matter.
She looked at me and she said, do you like doing road trips like this, Mom?
She's like, do we have to keep on driving? Like, can we not just stop because that looks interesting? I'm like, no, we're not stopping. We're going somewhere.
And the last idea I've got for you is if you're part of like a church group or a community group, often they will actually put on their own events for their kids. And
so our church for the last 20 plus years has put on a Schoolies trip for everyone who shares the same values. Friends are welcome as well, but it's basically if you're coming along, then you buy into what we're about, which means that X, Y, and Z, these things don't happen. Probably always going to be some rule breakers, but generally speaking, you're sending your kids off with some adult supervision, minimal, but some adult supervision, but a whole bunch of kids that share their values, which means that they feel comfortable, they can be themselves, and they're not going to experience the same risks that they might if they went to a regular Schoolies celebration. So I guess this all comes down to you've got options. They can be teen-focused Schoolies or they can be parent-facilitated Schoolies. Ultimately, there's something to celebrate here. High school is done. And this is a reason for kids to let their hair down and breathe a little and even do some stuff independently. I'm all for that. But it's also an opportunity to celebrate with people that you love and build relationships and meaning and move in a positive direction. So hopefully the ideas that we've shared today will give you some things to consider as your kids get older and start talking about what Schoolies could be for them. One more thing that I might add, not every child wants to go to Schoolies. Like some kids just want to stay home and work. This is a great opportunity to earn a whole lot of money. They've got part-time jobs. They're worried about asking the boss for time off. But if they get stuck in and do a whole lot of work, they can probably save a couple of $1,000 over the next few weeks. And they can go towards their new car or the fit out of the back of their van or a holiday that they are saving up for at a non-peak period without 2 or 3 or 4 or 10,000 other Schoolies. So just a bunch of ideas there that could be useful when it comes to your kids and Schoolies and end of year 12 celebrations. We hope that this has given you some inspo and some ideas for making your family happier. Thanks so much for listening. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides research, admin, and a whole lot of other support. If you'd like more info about making your family happier, you can visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.